Today on Upfront, the highway dollars dilemma. The state budget is hung up on borrowing for roads. Next, Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald on whether lawmakers will scale back the borrowing or delay big projects. Plus, the Bucks Arena financing plan. Will it stay in the budget or get a separate vote? Then, UW-Madison faculty upset over tenure changes. Chancellor Rebecca Blank in an extended interview addressing faculty concerns and the risks she sees for the state's flagship campus.
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Upfront with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Upfront. We begin today with a big issue state lawmakers are grappling with right now, issues that appear to be hanging up the next two-year budget. We're talking about the plan for public financing of a new downtown arena in Milwaukee and borrowing for the state's biggest road projects. Republican Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald is at the center of both of those issues, and he joins us now on Upfront. Senator, it's good to have you back on the program.
Good to be with you.
Let's talk roads to begin with, since that affects pretty much everyone in the state of Wisconsin. Where are you guys in this? Are you going to drastically slash that $1.3 billion in proposed borrowing by the governor?
Yeah, I guess you could describe it that way. It's probably going to be a mix of delayed projects and then also some level of bonding. What that is right now, as we sit here today, is difficult to say, because we are in negotiations not only with the Assembly, but trying to keep the governor in the loop on that as we kind of go back and forth. But it's going to have an impact statewide. The governor, once again, said he's just not going to sign any revenue increases. And I think it would be difficult to get that through this very conservative Republican caucus that I am in charge of. So it probably leaves us very few options other than delay a few projects and certainly a little bit of bonding.
Surely some parameters for the bonding exist out there. Is it $500 million, $800 million? Where are we in these discussions?
Those are the numbers that are being kicked around. Certainly there's a lot of different opinions on what is that kind of sweet spot, but that's what we'll be discussing next week, and hopefully be able to roll that out so the Finance Committee can tackle that Wednesday, Thursday of next week.
When you say delay projects, give us examples of what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not that anyone is going to have to put down a shovel this summer on the projects that are already underway.
So like the zoo interchange, work continues. The home bridge, work continues on things like that?
The stuff that many of your viewers are very aware of certainly will continue. But there are some projects that are 4-6 years out that certainly could be put on the back burner. And that's something I think many members are very aware of and concerned about. And there will be a ripple effect on projects outstate. So those are the things that we're looking at, working with DOT, working with both the Assembly and the Governor's office to determine what should that package look like.
Does this feel like you're kicking the can down the road again on transportation, honestly?
You know what? This is a major, major problem for us. I mean, if there's any piece, and this goes back 10, 12 years ago when this started, where there was not enough revenue to certainly deal with the amount of projects that were ultimately being enumerated. This is something we are going to struggle with for many years to come to get back to a level playing field when it comes to transportation expenditures and transportation revenues. So we're not going to fix it overnight.
Let's talk about the arena deal.
Yeah.
If this were a standalone measure, if it were a separate amendment or a separate piece of legislation, how would it fare, the arena deal, as it exists right now?
I think it's pretty difficult for me to say, you know, what the difference is in the budget, out of the budget. All I am focused on is whether or not we can get the votes for some type of package.
Do you think you can get them? How far away are you from getting them?
It depends. I mean, now that the proposal's been out there and has been picked apart and continues to be picked apart, which I think is fine. You know, I've tried to describe to people the way the negotiation went. I mean, I think everybody that was in the room, including County Exec Abley and the mayor, had laudable goals, as well as the Wisconsin legislature. We had laudable goals. They were different goals, though. Everyone had a different piece and a different target. And as a result of that, the entire proposal is probably a little more complicated than some of my members would have liked it to be. You know, Chris Abley had some long-term goals that I think are probably good for the city. But it does make it a little more difficult to explain to members. And the mayor certainly had his ideas about, they wanted to be in with cash up front, that type of thing. Right. So, we're going back with members and talking to them about it. I think one of the things that's been missed in this is just the overall impact on the city of Milwaukee. And I try to underscore that with members. There's no indoor music venue without a new arena. And it's ironic in a city that has one of the largest outdoor music venues in the nation. That's got to be addressed in some way or another. And then the other thing would be Marquette University and the men's basketball program. It generates about 60% of the entire athletic department budget. And their average attendance is about 15,000 per game. There is no other place for Marquette men's basketball to play in the city right now. So if they have to come in and build their own arena, I think a lot of us would be looking around the room saying, why didn't we make a better case for this along the way? So there's a lot of things that I think are out there swirling right now on this, and we're trying to bring it together in a very short period of time.
So at this point, no decision on whether it's outside the budget or inside the budget?
No, I think it depends on what the role of the Finance Committee is in this entire process. We still have to do something with the governor's proposal, which is part of the budget. So it'll have to be addressed in one way or another, but that decision hasn't been made yet.
I asked Speaker Voss last week if at one time he said he was very optimistic the deal would get done, there would be a new arena. Last week he said he's not very optimistic now, he's optimistic. Do you share his optimism? Are you optimistic, or do you think this is a heavy lift at this point?
It's still a heavy lift. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Outstate legislators have to make the case back home that what we're doing for the city of Milwaukee is good for the state. And then a bipartisan vote. I mean, there's a lot of my members that are saying, listen, if I need to vote for this, we need some Democrat votes on this. So we've got to come up with a strategy that incorporates that as well.
Real briefly, do you think Democrats should have been involved in the deal discussion? Should Peter Barca or Jen Schilling have been involved in those discussions? Would that make it easier for you at this point?
I don't think so. I think they have worked through Mayor Barrett and Chris Abele, and I think they will continue to do that.
Final question, prevailing wage. Dewey Strobel, new senator from Ozaukee County area, says he's not going to vote for the budget unless a repeal of the prevailing wage is included in it. Will there be a proposal to repeal the prevailing wage as part of the budget?
Not a full repeal of prevailing wage. I think we'll have a middle ground proposal that'll probably make sense. We've got some members that are currently working on that. Again, once it's made public, we'll see kind of whether it withstands some scrutiny and some criticism. But certainly I think we're headed towards something. I don't know that it's necessarily something that's part of the budget either. It's not in the budget right now.
It could be standalone.
It could be a standalone bill that makes its way through both houses. That hasn't been determined yet.
All right. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald, Republican, thanks very much for being with us today.
Good to be with you.
You bet. You can keep up to date with all of the developments in the state budget talks by following the budget blog. That's at the website of our editorial partner, WisPolitics.com. Republican lawmakers are also moving ahead with budget cuts and changes to tenure at the University of Wisconsin, and I'll be talking with Senator Fitzgerald about that in our Web Extra this week. But next, my extended interview with UW-Madison Chancellor Rebecca Blank, what she's telling faculty, and will this lead to a campus brain drain? That's when Up Front continues.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company.